When the official renewal of Season 3 was announced, Amazon also dropped this really interesting playlist. It took fans all of about 5 minutes to find the hidden code. The first letter of the lyrics of each song spell out Season 3. The question for today is, what other meaning can we suss out when we look closely at these songs? In the final episode of Season 2, during Gabriel's memory reveal, there's a moment where Gabriel and Beelzebub are sitting in a bar, and Beelzebub points out a song playing.
I like it. Contains information in a tuneful way.
I think that a lot of music in this show does contain information in a tuneful way. From Queen to Shostakovich, we've already found quite a lot, and although this playlist exists outside the Good Omens universe, Neil did contribute 3 songs to it, so I would like to take a look at each song on the playlist, with a particularly close look at those 3 songs.
Does anybody know what we are looking for?
A good portion of the fandom spent the first few hours after the playlist was released, and Neil said he had contributed 3 of the songs on that list, listening to them over and over and trying to guess which 3 came from him. He didn't wait too long before he revealed his contributions. I guess he knows we have a lot of wait and see coming to us over the next couple of years, so he decided this was a gimme. I'm curious to hear if any of you got to play this little game before he revealed the answers, and how many you guessed correctly. I guessed 2 correctly. I was dead certain about Crimea River, enough that I told Joe Madge I would have bet money on it. My wrong guess was In Dreams by Roy Orbison. I didn't pick the Queen song because it just felt too obvious, which is funny in retrospect. I guess some things seem obvious because they are. Joe Madge and I each made our own notes and compared to see which songs we thought belonged to Crowley and which to Aziraphale. Of course, we have no confirmation of any of this. This is just an interesting game for the fandom to play. Before I tell you my interpretation of these songs, which songs do you think belong to which character? The songs were put in this specific order on the playlist so that they spelled out the secret code. But what if we reorder the songs when we look at them to see if there's a sort of emotional code, information contained in a tuneful way? These 2 celestial beings have had a pretty rough breakup. Yes, they've broken up before, and yes, this time there was the kiss, but also this time Aziraphale is unreachable in heaven. They're both probably feeling pretty torn up after everything that happened, and of course, Neil has said they aren't talking. Many people might be familiar with the Kubler-Ross grief cycle, not by that name, but by the more common moniker, the 5 stages of grief. It's been misunderstood and even misused at times. People don't go through the stages of grief in any sort of order, and often they don't go through all of them, and the lines between them are blurred. Our emotions don't fit into neat little labeled boxes, in real life. But this isn't real life, this is a story. More than that, it's a playlist about a story, and I honestly think the classic 5 stages are represented here pretty clearly. There are 11 songs on the playlist, an odd number, which is interesting right away. It implies that not every song belongs to one individual. One of these songs is not like the others, and we'll get to that at the end, but that leaves 5 for each character, 1 song for each stage. Music is, aside from a way to convey information in a tuneful way, a very primal emotional experience. The following is my interpretation of these songs, which characters I feel they represent, and my own speculation on how they might reflect the character's emotional journey in Season 3. Your interpretation of these songs may vary and are just as valid as mine.
The show must go on.
The denial stage of grief is a common coping mechanism. Aziraphale and Crowley have both just suffered what they must both be feeling as a massive loss. How will each of them face it? I think Crowley's first song is I'd Rather Go Blind by Etta James. The lyrics to this song, which are up on the screen now, are about someone who sees their lover walking and talking with someone else and feels that this signals the end of their relationship. There's a bit of remembering a kiss and an embrace. The song is also one of denial. There's a lot of I don't want to and I would rather language here, and ultimately the sentiment expressed is that they would rather go blind than see their lover with someone else, and in this song, that blindness is a denial of truth. Aziraphale's first song is Queen's The Show Must Go On. The X-ray notes on the episode say that this song is playing in the coffee shop while the Metatron is in there. This is also one of the songs that Neil contributed, so I think we can safely read some plot elements right into this song. There are a lot of lyrics about hiding who you really are and showing something else on the outside. Specifically, the singer is putting on a show while inside they are feeling brokenhearted. These lyrical phrases seem all but written for us, the audience, to help understand that enigmatic smile. Aziraphale, his heart broken, is about to go on stage for his most important performance yet. But his heart isn't in the smile. It's back on Earth with Crowley. The smile is fake, and what else is this vague smile but a kind of denial of reality?
You drove me, nearly drove me out of my head.
Of course, we don't know what emotions either Crowley or Aziraphale will go through after Aziraphale arrives in heaven and Crowley drives off in the Bentley, so this emotional journey is completely speculative past this point. But I don't think it's a big stretch of the imagination to think that at some point Crowley might go through a lot of anger about the situation and experience some amount of that anger directed at Aziraphale. Cry Me a River by Julie London is a smoky, sultry, quietly furious song, a perfect fit for Crowley, and unsurprisingly, the second of Neil's contributions. This song essentially says, "You hurt me so badly that even if you came crying, I wouldn't take you back." One of my favorite aspects of this show is how it demonstrates that emotional vulnerability is okay, that cool guys cry. All of the lyrics of this song are quite fitting, but the phrase that really got me was this one. I can see that Crowley might view Aziraphale's departure to heaven as being untrue, and Crowley might be less than willing to overlook it easily. Although Crowley displays his anger more readily, Aziraphale is still more than capable of anger, and we've seen that a few times. He may well be angry at some point with Crowley for not accepting the offer, but also with the situation, a certain unfairness of outcome for just being put on these two separate paths. I think the song Midnight Rain by Taylor Swift expresses this specific kind of inward vexation perfectly. There may be some debate in the fandom over if this song is more Crowley or more Aziraphale, but considering who's about to do the changing and who's always expressing the desire to just have a comfortable life, I'm going to say that Aziraphale is the Midnight Rain and Crowley is therefore his sunshine. And I love this so much because, as I covered in my video about Left and Right, and again in the Ineffable Dance, by the time of this episode, they've switched positions, not bodies, but roles. Aziraphale has always been the rock, the sun, the yang. Now he's the one moving, the one changing, and this song illustrates that dramatic change in their dynamics so beautifully. Some lyrics really jumped out at me. Aside from the chorus here is this line. I don't think Aziraphale really had a choice, and this lyric so perfectly expresses resentment at that forced choice. Overcoming anger is difficult, but both of them seem to have had a lot of practice at that. So what's the next stop on this emotional roller coaster?
Every night on my knees I pray.
When we see the word bargaining, we might think this means pleading with God or saying, I'll offer something like a change of behavior if only this bad thing doesn't happen. But in grief, what bargaining often actually displays is the struggle to find meaning, the need to feel like everything is going to be fine. I'm a Mess by, and I apologize in advance for butchering this poor artist's name, Bebe Rexha, is a perfect example of this. The lyrics of this song are both comedic and also very emotionally honest, which is such a great fit with Good Omens, and specifically Crowley. I wasn't familiar with this piece of music prior to hearing it on the playlist, but it really grew on me. There's an awareness in this song that everything is a disaster. This person's life is, well, a mess. But there's a struggle to believe that despite that, everything is still okay. The lyrics that really stood out to me were these. Poor Crowley. I can just see him giving an ironic toast to failing that confession. Just My Imagination by The Temptations. Well, the name of this band is such a great reference to how Aziraphale sees Crowley, both the tempter and the greatest temptation. Kudos to whoever chose this song for the playlist. Of course, we know Crowley is a demon with an imagination, but I think it's pretty clear that Aziraphale is an angel with one as well. I really feel like this song is Aziraphale's. Aside from the extremely apt band name, the lyrics are just heartbreaking. I know these ones and the reference to prayers show the pleading nature of this song, the strong desire for something to be true and that the singer feels can't ever be, and to reconcile those feelings. But there's also maybe a touch of foreshadowing in this song. I don't want to stress it too much because this wasn't one of Neil's contributions, but I know the country home and the kids in these lyrics had me wondering if it refers to the happy ending where, I don't know, Muriel, Eric, and the Bentley could be their version of kids. But in all seriousness, this is another song that's upbeat on the outside but crying on the inside. Aziraphale's necessary mask, hiding his real feelings. I'm afraid it only gets a little darker and more morose before it gets brighter, but that's just good storytelling. If we continue to follow this idea of the 5 stages of grief, the next stage is depression and regret. In Dreams by Roy Orbison is an operatic rock ballad, a style that started to become very popular in that era. Like almost every song in this playlist, it concerns lost love, and the wistful way it speaks of finding refuge from grief in sleep and dreams is very, very much something we might see Crowley do once he's moved past his anger and bargaining. Where I'm a Mess is very chaotic and runs a gamut of emotions trying to find some sense in that madness. In Dreams is very much just sad, forlorn loss and longing. Here, I would say that Crowley is very much aware that things might never be okay again. Even if he can escape to dreams, he still wakes up and nothing has changed for the better. This entire song is pretty spot on, but these are the lyrics that really jumped out at me. This song also speaks of prayers, which we do know is something Crowley has sort of done in the past when he pleaded to God on humanity's behalf. We've also seen him in tears at least once when he thought Aziraphale had gone, so the idea that he wakes up and cries is, well, it's heartbreaking. I suppose if we're imagining his emotional journey, at this point we really have to hope that there's someone else for him to lean on. Muriel, Maggie, Nina. This probably isn't something he can get through entirely alone. Heart and Soul by the Four Aces has some beautiful lyrics concerning a stolen kiss that causes the singer to fall madly in love that I think are a pretty good fit for Aziraphale. Now, he's been in love with Crowley long before the kiss, but it probably opened up a whole different frame of experience and it clearly affected him pretty strongly and pretty immediately. I don't think any of us would doubt that while he's up in heaven, mostly alone, it's going to cross his mind more than once. The band name here made me think of tarot cards again, and also the word fool in the lyrics, although I don't think that's what the people who put this song on the list had in mind. Who knows? These lyrics did make me think of Do That Again Please right now. There's no loss of love in the lyrics themselves, but for Aziraphale, the kiss was immediately followed by the loss of it and all that it promised. So when he does inevitably remember it, it's going to be with a sense of longing, sadness, and loss. Hopefully, as Crowley may have Muriel, Maggie, and Nina, Aziraphale can find some allies or at least some friendly faces in heaven, like Aziraphale, to help him. Will Crowley or Aziraphale reach acceptance? Will they need to? Perhaps not acceptance that they will never be together, but that what happened happened in order to move past it. That's an idea I plan to explore sometime in January concerning the apology dance, but back on topic. Here in this song list, we do find songs that express this sentiment of acknowledgement that things cannot be changed back. Could Have Been by H.E.R. is a very morose acceptance, but acceptance all the same, something I think fits well with Crowley. The very first verse begins with these lyrics. There's no changing what happened, and there's really no point in dwelling on the past, although Anthony J. Crowley probably excels at brooding. My Heart Will Go On by Celine Dion is a sad but almost celebratory acceptance of lost love. It's gone, but the singer is still grateful to have had it at all, because now they can carry it with them always. I really do see Aziraphale holding on to even the memory of love in this sort of sad but fierce way. There are a couple of stanzas that jump out at me, including this one. This sort of protective love speaks quite strongly to Aziraphale's character and how he views Crowley. It is more important to keep him safe than to be together. That leaves just one song, the one that belongs to neither Crowley nor Aziraphale alone, because it belongs to both of them.
You can read me anything.
Oh, this song. Even my first time listening to the playlist, this song stood out. I think it did to many fans. The Book of Love by Peter Gabriel is the perfect song for the Ineffable duo. It's funny, it's witty, it's beautifully sad, and also heartwarmingly uplifting all at once. It was used in the romance movie Shall We Dance with Richard Gere in 2004, and a different cover of it can also be heard in the movie also titled The Book of Love from 2014. And some fans might also recognize it from a popular episode of Scrubs, but it isn't a romantic trope heard through tons of movies. In fact, it's not a terribly well-known song, and its secret beauty is part of what makes it so perfect. It's also the third song contributed by Neil. The very first lyrics, that the Book of Love is long and boring, sounds exactly like something Crowley would say, but then just moments later we hear that it also contains instructions for dancing, which is just more than a little spot on. This song says all the right things. It concerns a couple in love, fully sharing all the joys that life has to offer, from reading to dancing. And of course, there's the gift giving and the final few lines about wedding rings, which I'm pretty sure caused a near mass fainting in the fandom. Did I just highlight all of these lyrics? Maybe. How does this fit into my 5 stages speculation? Well, this is the stage after those 5, where they manage to put the past behind them, make up, and save the world. It's called the Ineffable Husband stage. Are we going to see wedding rings? Is this more than a clue, a hint of a promise from Neil? I don't know. I kind of like to think so. Probably not a ceremony or anything, but something that symbolically binds them to each other. I honestly do think that Aziraphale's ring is his symbol of loyalty to heaven, and I would personally love to see that symbol transferred to Crowley.
You ought to give me wedding rings.
So we've talked about the playlist as a whole, each song, how they relate to the 2 characters, but I'd like to talk a little bit more about these 3 songs: Cry Me a River, The Show Must Go On, and The Book of Love, because Neil contributed them to the playlist, and I don't think that's an insignificant fact. He knows these characters, where they are now and where they're headed, better than anyone alive. He contributed 1 for each character and 1 for them as a couple. Cry Me a River was Julie London's first recorded single, and it was an immediate hit. It was first published under the newly recorded Liberty Records label, and look, I'm not saying this is on purpose, but considering the strong theme of Liberty in Season 2, and this image all over Nina's coffee shop, I just had to point it out. The lyrics to Cry Me a River are unambiguous. They might be showing us that Crowley's frame of mind, at least at first, is not going to be terribly understanding. In addition to Neil saying that they aren't talking to each other, this song makes it pretty clear that this rift is going to be harder to mend than those in the past. And this comes as a surprise to exactly no one, I'm sure. Crowley is in a pretty low place. This song is fuming, sorrowful, unforgiving, and hurt to the bone. The Show Must Go On, as a song, has an extremely sad but also inspiring backstory. Freddie Mercury had been diagnosed with HIV/AIDS, but it wasn't public knowledge yet. He was fighting for his life and struggling to maintain a public persona. Brian May wrote most of the lyrics, though Freddie did also contribute to them, and since Freddie was so weak, they were worried about his ability to perform them, but Freddie gave the okay. When it came time to record, he drank a few shots of vodka to help with the pain and recorded what many consider to be one of his greatest vocal performances. The song has a lot of metaphor, but unmistakably concerns fierce determination despite almost crippling internal agony. I don't want to be overly dramatic, but reading about this song and watching some interviews really got to me. The strength of character it demonstrated was very real for Freddie Mercury, and I think it carries over beautifully for the angel who believes he is soft, but when everything's on the line is going to show us all that steel underneath. As we've seen in the past, from Job to Jim, no matter the personal cost to him, Aziraphale will dig down and find the strength to do what he believes is right. Last, and certainly not least, we come back to the Book of Love. I know I'm not the first person, or probably even the 10,000th at this point, to notice the similarity to the name the Book of Life. Does it mean anything? I think it might. So pray let me run wild into the land of speculative imagination for a few moments, dear viewers. Assuming the Book of Life comes into play in Season 3, and I think it must, or why even bring it up, then I think the Book of Love might serve as a counterbalance to it. In Good Omens, everything seems to come with its opposite number. The universe, in many ways, is split into 2. The Book of Love might be the metaphorical other half to the Book of Life. If one is used to erase people, the other might be used to recall them. Can a being be erased if someone really loves them? After all, when Gabriel put his memory into the fly, what did he remember? Not when triggered by the divine, but just on his own. A song. The song that to him meant love.
I cried a river over you.
If you've seen my left-right video, then you might be aware how important their positioning is in relation to each other. Now watch this scene again.
I can't think of a better angel to wrap things up and to set into motion the next step in the great plan.
Crowley is watching them walk away, and the Metatron walks on Aziraphale's left. That's been Crowley's place since forever. And Neil is not sorry. I've included a link to the playlist in the order I've put the songs, and to an interview with Brian May about The Show Must Go On in the description below. In addition to all of this, I also spent some time making my own private playlist with a similar idea and my own favorite songs to fit them. Something I'm sure many of you have done in one way or another. I'd love to hear if you have any specific individual songs that you would consider musts on your own Aziraphale and Crowley Angelic playlist. Joe Madge deserves a big thank you for contributing the idea of putting these songs into an order that conveyed an emotional journey. It made me think of the 5 stages of grief, and I just ran with it. Congratulations to Mary and to Willow Maid for winning the last 2 Friday trivia games. Those were some hard questions, too. Great job, both of you. I hope all of you who celebrate had a wonderful holiday. New Year's is right around the corner. I don't know if I can implement Mini Mondays every week again, although I do collaborate on some videos and I have friends who are more than generous with their ideas and their time. It's just me writing this, recording it, editing the sound, and putting together the videos. 2 per week was too much. My family was starting to forget who I was. 1 per week is still a lot, but I would like to collect the little bits and bobs of news about season 3, but also just about the people involved in the production, and bring you that on the occasional Monday. Because I don't know about you, but I want all the little news details. My patrons are just the most incredible people. There's no way I could still be doing this every week if not for them. Special thanks to Birgit for volunteering her time and fixing up some of my still images. I haven't really mentioned Patreon lately, but I have been able to share some pretty detailed rewatch notes and the occasional early release over there, as well as some fun discussions as we go through each episode together. If you're interested in that and supporting the Good Omens community building that's the backbone of this channel, please check out the link below. On that note, I have to mention Good Omens Got Talent. I really hope this does inspire all of you out there to show off your creativity and love of this book and TV show. There's a link to the official webpage in the description as well. I really hope to see your entry in the coming months. And speaking of I couldn't do this without them, I couldn't do this without you either, my lovely viewers. So here's to a safe and happy New Year 2024. And as always, thanks for watching.